News Radio 700 WLW.
I saw this over the weekend, too, and I just have to laugh sometimes at dumb things that people do. I mean, I've done dumb things. You've done dumb things. Everybody does dumb things. But this is really pretty stupid. So there's a guy that is the CEO of a brokerage firm in India. Nitin Kamath, CEO of a brokerage firm. And he wanted to do a little something to help the morale of his company. And so what he decided was that most of the people that work for him were overweight. And so what Mr. Kamath decided to do over there in India was set a goal for everyone on his team to get a BMI, a body mass index. You might have had one of those measured if you went in for a health test or whatever. BMI, if you're somewhere between 18.5 and 24, you're okay. If you're over 25, you're considered obese. Well, Mr. Kamath wrote to his team that the average body mass index of the people working for him was 25.3. Now, what the hell is a guy running a brokerage firm in India running around trying to figure out what people's body masses are that work for him? So anyway, he said, well, we're going to do this. If you can get your body mass index down to around 24, you're all going to receive double the amount of a bonus. What would that be? Well, he said that those on his team with a BMI over 25 would receive a bonus of half their monthly salary if they could get below 25. If you could get to 24, you would get double the bonus. Well, what do you think the staff did? They absolutely got ticked off because they thought they were the guy they were working for was calling a bunch of fat. Anyway, standing by to weigh in on this is a leadership expert. I've had Andy Monet on the show many times before. She's really good. She looked at this thing when I talked to her off the air last week, and she said, what are they going to have next over there, an anorexia contest? Andy is standing by right now. Andy, how are you on this glorious Monday?
I am doing fantastic, as always. At least that's what I tell myself.
How does one get to be fantastic always? I mean, I'll take 10%. How does someone do that always?
I just say it. If I say it enough, something's got to happen, right?
It's true. By the way, we'll get into this story in just a second, but you're a leadership expert, and I've had several people that call themselves that on the show before. I'm just wondering, how do you define that? Well, how do you define what you do? How does one become a leadership expert?
Oh, shoot. I have no answer for that. But I will say that, after 35 years of really helping Fortune 500 executives and small business owners, and in my hopeful opinion, being a leader in my, community, I just happen to think it's what can you do best in the light of how do you empower people? How do you lead by example? How do you support people? How do you just, really try to make a difference is how I define it.
Yeah. And I think the key word there is empower, right? Because everybody has certain things that they're given in life as skills, and if you can help them tap into that, then in essence you become a leader. I think empowerment's huge.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this CEO of a brokerage company, it looks like it was in India. He started issuing bonuses, or said he was going to issue bonuses if people would track their body mass index and try to get that to a lower number. He thought, in essence, this is the message I would have gotten. I got a lot of fat people working for me, and I'm going to try and figure out how to make them slimmer because that'll make them healthier. I would say, and this is my own phrase, benign ignorance. Would that be the kind thing to say about this dude?
I would agree with that.
I mean, think about, well, who in their right mind would think this would be a good idea?
It's such a touchy subject because I think at first glance, this is like, what in the world is this man thinking, right? We know probably somewhere he wants to do the right thing. And how do you do that? What does that look like? And, you know, I've worked all over the world in 14 countries. And part of it, in my limited opinion, is intent, the communication of intention, and culture. Mm-hmm. And generally speaking, in the U.S., that would just fall flat on your face no matter how much you look at it. And I actually know a lot of really respectable companies that have something similar, but not related to bonus, right? No. It's just related to decreased insurance costs and corporate wellness and these things that really we want people to be healthy. I mean, it helps the company, and I see that happening. But when you start going into financial pieces of it, then it really takes it to a whole nother level, right? And there's what I think is sort of a normal response in the sense of, what's wrong with you? Why do you think that of me? And why would you attach my financial livelihood to the way that I look? Yeah. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I don't think anything positive ever comes when it begins with a negative. So
Absolutely.
Your entree into this is basically, as I said, you know, you're all fat, you need to lose weight. I'll give you some money if you lose this weight. Now, again, if this is India, so I don't know whether or not there's a different culture over there that in some way, shape, or form would make this guy think it works. But in this country, that guy would be in the HR office of his parent company.
About to say that.
You know,
yes.
within 10 minutes he'd be in there. It's amazing.
Oh my word! Well, and lawsuits, and you know, it would be crazy. And you know, if you really want to make a difference in people's, you know, physical health, because it's a health, it's not, you know, hopefully it's health and not ego, right? Like, I only want pretty people to work here, but right. If it really is physical health, I think that there's other options you have. You know,
absolutely. The scary thing is this guy rose to be a CEO of a brokerage firm. Now, I mean, just think of all the other bodies he had to step over, no pun intended, to get to that level. What were those people thinking if this guy was the best and the brightest inside of his company? What do you think about that for a minute?
Or sadly, he might be the best. That's not ideal either, right?
Yeah, right. Why is it that basic principles of what governs motivation and what govern success, why do they sometimes go off the rail with some of these companies? Maybe you've dealt with some. Why do they go off the rails when somebody thinks they have the next greatest idea and nobody pulls them back? You know, the emperor has no clothes. Why does that happen in corporate America?
I happen to believe and have seen that some of that comes from hiring the wrong people. And I don't mean wrong as in they're bad. I just mean some CEOs who I've met, they want to hire yes people, right? Mm-hmm. That's not a good management decision. It's not good for the business. It's not good for finances, generally speaking. But saying it and doing it are not always the same thing. So how are you going to be a strong enough leader to be able to hire people that you don't necessarily agree with all the time? You don't have the same backgrounds. You don't have the same experiences. You don't have the same strengths. And you have to be really emotionally secure in yourself to be able to put people like that around you and around your business to say, hey, this is a really dumb idea.
Well, and I think that's it, secure in yourself. The issue probably isn't the idea. The issue is the person that has ascended to that office. And you probably, as you say, they have a lot of people that want to hear the word yes, which goes into a self-esteem problem. It goes into a lot of different things. But I always felt, and I worked in a very eclectic business to begin with, I always felt every voice should be heard. And even if those voices don't actually intersect, it was the good manager that could bring everybody together and say, yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. Well, maybe this will work better. What Joe's saying over here as opposed to what, Jack is saying over here. But, just intersect everybody's ideas and then go forward. March out of the room in lockstep. I can't imagine anybody walking out of the room in lockstep with with this dude's idea, but but I've also found, and I don't know if you find this too, I also found that when you have someone that leads and surrounds himself with yes people, or herself with yes people, that company is not very productive to begin with, and that it has a lot of missed opportunities. Is that a fair statement?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I've seen it many times. And so, you know, their ability to grow is not there. Their ability to scale, their ability to hire good people, their ability to just really thrive. I mean, I know companies that would double and triple their revenue if they had what I would say a emotionally healthy CEO. And and it's just really sad because and I don't want to use this analogy in a bad way and I'll probably get in trouble, but you can't tell, a drug addict they're a drug addict. They have to figure it out on their own for them to make that move. And the CEO is no different. If they can't, and that's part of consulting, and that's part of hopefully mentorship. That even Jeff Bezos has a mentor, right? I mean, just because you're CEO doesn't mean you don't need help. Doesn't mean you can't grow. That doesn't mean that you can't do better things. It's the ones that just get stuck in their growth or think that they know everything, that it really starts to become a problem, not only in their leadership and their management, but their company as well. And going back to what you said really briefly about all voices being heard, I think that's really critical. What I think some people miss is if I hear everybody's voice, everybody thinks they have a vote, and that's different. Having everybody participate and come up with ideas and then deciding, okay, those are great ideas. Maybe some of them aren't, but which one is the best? And not only which one is the best, but which one is also there's a cost benefit associated with it, right?
Right.
So, a voice by itself is not a bad thing. It's a great thing. And as you have multiple people coming together in a room, I heard a statistic, actually, I'm interrupting myself because I love this, that a room full of average-minded intellects will do better performance-wise in a business than a room full of experts and leaders, because there's usually one expert or leader that either wants to rise above everybody else, or that they just argue so much because they're all quote-unquote experts and leaders. So that tells you something.
It does. It tells me why I succeeded, because I'm just average-minded. I've never been considered an expert in anything. Andy Monet, you can find her at andymonet.com. Leadership expert. I got to ask, is your great-great-grandfather the artist?
So I've been told.
Well, I think the answer, Andy, is absolutely is, and we should see the collection of his paintings I have in my home.
I love it. I have so many reprints. I mean, originals.
Yeah, my goodness, that would be the entree. Absolutely. Hey, listen, this was fun. Thank you so much for your time, and good luck. Hopefully we can visit down the road. Thanks.
That'd be wonderful. Thank you, Ken. Have a wonderful day.